Hello everyone, MLA Pete Guthrie here. I'd like to take the time to share some thoughts on the state of Alberta's healthcare system. Obviously, this is a huge topic of conversation for everybody. And you don't have to be an expert to see the problems developing. These thoughts are my personal opinion and ones that I've been wrestling with for months, especially as I talk to more and more of my constituents. And as one might expect, there's been a broad range of opinion, even within my own caucus. We are now closing in on 2 years dealing with COVID. And over this time, we went from zero data, no vaccine, and really no visible plan on how to deal with the situation, to now having data from all over the world, experiential evidence, and a vaccine. Yet, we seem to be in a circular loop. Even at a 90% inoculation rate in those 12 and older, we struggle with capacity, and AHS seems to recite the same recycled ideas, including masking, passports, and other various restrictions. And if you recall, back in September, I questioned the use of vaccine passports, as they were divisive and possibly ineffective in stopping transmission. And I also questioned the waning efficacy of these vaccines. Data from around the world was showing reduced efficacy over time, and yet I don't feel that our health leaders adjusted to this evidence. Since this pandemic started, Alberta has not developed any protocols to treat COVID symptoms. Even now, the current recommendation is to wait and see if your health improves, and if not, head to the hospital if symptoms get severe. In fact, a great deal of effort has gone into deterring patient treatments, those that may help boost one's immune system and fight the virus. AHS and the College of Physicians have penalized, suspended, and even revoked licenses of those Alberta doctors trying to find a treatment, including antiviral medications that may help a patient avoid sickness. This is a very unusual response because doctors require every means at their disposal to treat their patients. So limiting their tools is counterproductive. It would seem to me that if we had a focus on early treatment, the health system would reduce incoming traffic, which would have a positive impact on capacity limitations. This seems logical to me anyway. Our government has piled billions of additional dollars into the healthcare system. AHS hired more doctors and nurses, yet healthcare capacity declined, and surgical wait times increased immensely, with outright cancellations to boot. It has since improved, but as of last September, we had a decline in functional capacity, that which considers labor, of over 50% for beds in general, and a 40% decrease in ICU capacity. But this is prior to the imposition of the recent mandatory vaccination policy. But furthermore, with a greater than $12 billion in new investment, AHS is a laggard in R&D. The apparent policy seems to be deny, until research from around the world becomes mainstream and one cannot deny any longer, then accept. Needless to say, AHS has not adapted well. Prior to COVID, many boasted about Canada having one of the greatest healthcare systems in the world. But when put through a stress test, even with a virus that has a very high survival rate, it has not held up to expectations. When looking at other jurisdictions south of the border, for instance, we observe significantly higher ICU capacity in the order of 2, 3, or 4 times ours on a per capita basis. And in a report by the Fraser Institute, Canada ranked second behind Switzerland as the most expensive universal healthcare system in the world, but among the bottom on performance. This, in my view, reinforces the need for reform. And I'm not being critical here of frontline workers who have chosen these admirable professions. They work in a stressful environment and they do a job that most cannot do, and I'm thankful for their dedication. In fact, I've had contact with many healthcare workers, pre-COVID and now, and they too express considerable frustration dealing with a stifling system. They talk about a bureaucracy that is resistant to change, countless managers and supervisors to the point where they're not always certain who does what and what their roles and responsibilities are. And it's the frontline workers that we should look to for suggestions on implementing and making improvements to a failing system. Yet, many tell me they are not heard, their ideas not given proper consideration, and at times they are criticized for attempting to have debate or challenge certain policies. And with that point, I can commiserate. To be open, pre-COVID, immediately after we were elected, myself as well as other MLAs felt that changes within the upper management of AHS should have occurred. We felt that AHS was a bloated, underperforming entity that required transformation. And culture cannot be changed under the same ingrained management structure. And with the uninspiring performance of AHS over the last 2 years, right or wrong, that sentiment still holds with me. In my opinion, we should immediately begin looking for high caliber candidates from outside of AHS. We require new and fresh conversations. Some will say this has been tried before at AHS and it was unsuccessful. They say the system is too big to change or that the timing is not right. Well, I disagree wholeheartedly. One does not leave a struggling system to continue struggling because it is too big to change. We have a responsibility to do our best. At the very least, we should be bringing in outside professional consultants to provide a new perspective at AHS and equip government with a second opinion. We are in turbulent times, and governments across the country and around the world, to varying degrees, implemented unpopular policies to maintain healthcare capacity in the name of the well-being of their citizens. Why could we not have activated private options instead of canceling surgeries, which left some doctors idle? Many of the larger hospitals in the province were handling COVID, but there were operating rooms in other regions that were completely underutilized. Could we not have put out an RFP, provided physicians with the necessary operating space, and used public dollars to pay for those privately conducted procedures? There are those that might say that this strategy would be in conflict of the Canada Health Act and that the Trudeau government would not support it. But in times such as these, why would any prime minister, let alone this one, try to stop life-saving procedures because of who might perform the operation? It is important that we have faith and trust in our institutions, faith in our medical system, faith in our government to do the right thing when it is necessary to do so. To satisfy that trust, changes are sometimes necessary. We must endeavor to generate confidence, not fear. This is a difficult topic, but we all have a part to play in getting it right. So please share your thoughts and ideas on what we could do to improve services at AHS or to improve our response. I would like to hear your opinions. If you want to provide some feedback direct to my office, please feel free to send it to airdrie.cochrane@assembly.ab.ca. Thank you for listening.